at the mall with my boyfriend, and we were walking into Macy's. We just saw this guy with this huge M16 and this white mask and body armor, gloves on.
It was a heavy, machine gun kind of fire. I freaked out.
All I could see was, flames coming out the end of the barrel.
And he had dark brown hair and death in his eyes.
It felt like a dream. It felt like a real bad dream. There's people jumping, sliding, crawling, falling on the floor.
People were running for their lives.
How could somebody do that? It's Christmas time.
Live from Fox 12 Oregon, this is breaking news.
It could have been any mall, in any suburb, in any city in America, but it was here. And it could have been anyone we know in the line of fire.
Today, a man gunned down 2 people and injured a third at Clackamas Town Center before turning the gun on himself. The shooting happened during one of the busiest shopping weeks of the year. We're told 10,000 people were at the mall today.
The shooting unleashed chaos and fear at a place where we take our families without a second thought, a place where many let their kids roam around alone without worry. We have live team coverage tonight with everything that we've learned about the victims and the gunman.
We begin with KPTV's Jamie Wilson, who was at the most recent press conference. She joins us now with the very latest information. Jamie.
Well, Sergeant Adam Phillips tells us that they have tentatively identified the shooter, although they are not releasing his name at this time. He says they are also still working on contacting the relatives of the people who were killed today, so he's not giving us their names either. But tonight, the sheriff says he is praying for everyone involved. At a news conference tonight, Clackamas County Sheriff Craig Roberts confirmed that 2 people were killed in today's shooting at Clackamas Town Center. 1 young woman is in the hospital with severe injuries, and the shooter killed himself. Cops say 10,000 people were in the mall at the time, and the shooter opened fire in an open area near the food court. 4 SWAT teams responded and began a methodical search for the gunman, but the sheriff says not one officer fired a shot, and the shooter took his own life. Sheriff Roberts says he is proud of how his team responded and how people in the mall helped each other during this crisis. He just regrets that anyone had to respond at all.
These things aren't supposed to happen, and we train for them. We pray and hope that they never do happen. And unfortunately tonight, we did have an active shooter situation where an individual came in there, took the lives of 2 people. And we have a young lady at the hospital fighting for her life right now.
My understanding is that they are still going through a final sweep of the place. 1.4 million square feet. In a complete search, we look in every closet, every room that we can get into. So it's going to be an exhaustive search.
Now, that was about an hour and 15 minutes ago when Sergeant Adam Phillips told me that officers were still searching the mall for anyone who might still be hiding, not knowing that this situation is now over. He says that could take several more hours, and the mall will be closed tomorrow. Now, tonight, the sheriff is also commending a couple of ER nurses who were off duty and in the mall today, and also a doctor who rushed to help some of the shooting victims. They're also urging witnesses who did not make a statement at the scene today to call the sheriff's office as soon as they can. Live in Clackamas tonight, Jamie Wilson, the 10 o'clock news.
As we've heard from witness accounts, people saw the shooter coming, saw him running between cars and through the mall, and for many, their first thought is maybe it was a prank, maybe a flash mob.
They couldn't believe their eyes. Even when he opened fire, it still didn't sink in at first, and witnesses described it as sounding like something large had fallen. KPTV's Caitlin Bolduc joins us now with more on what witnesses saw today. Their accounts were just so emotional today, Caitlin.
It's hard to even imagine what those moments must have been like for the hundreds of shoppers inside of Clackamas Town Center today, which was overflowing with people when the shots rang out, and survivors say they'll never forget those horrifying moments.
Holy smokes, is that the SWAT? We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine, guys.
This haunting cell phone video captures the fear one family endured as they ran frantically with their hands in the air to safety. A run for their life that so many at Clackamas Town Center had never imagined would ever happen.
My friend was already on the ground, crawling towards the doors. I heard 2 more shots. I jump on the ground. I'm crawling towards the doors, and I heard this guy yelled, "Get on the ground, get on the ground," a couple times. I got up and I just started running.
And while many escaped the gunfire, others bunkered down into the backs of stores and even closets to wait things out. This woman hid her niece inside of a cupboard in Build-A-Bear.
From what we saw when we were running, going to the back, that we saw a lot of people running out towards the JCPenney's area. But we figured it was safest just to go in the back, and I hid her in the cupboards. And
I was feeling really scared.
And as time went by, many employees found ways to safely evacuate customers. Mark Hake of GameStop personally escorted a mother and son to safety.
And I walked them down there just to make sure I knew that they made it safe, because, you know, a kid doesn't need to see that or be around it. You know, unfortunately, I did witness one of the bodies. I'm not sure who it was. I know it looked to be a female.
And for those on the outside looking in, it was equally emotional as they waited for news their loved ones survived.
I wish the best for them, and I hope God blesses them and they come out alive.
And we spoke with many shoppers who said as soon as they heard the shots ring out, they didn't think, they just ran, and they didn't look back for fear they were going to get shot themselves. And in the heat of the moment, they left many of their personal belongings behind. The Clackamas County Sheriff deputies say they've secured the area, and all of their personal belongings will be returned to them just as soon as possible. Reporting live from Clackamas Town Center, Caitlin Bolduc, the 10 o'clock news.
Caitlin, after watching your piece, you know, we've been kind of describing this as witness interviews, but I'm wondering if that's almost too passive a word. I mean, these really are survivor stories in so many ways, don't you think?
You know, when you hear just the horror that they endured, truthfully, many of them say they saw the shooter, and we heard one person even say that they brushed by them, they touched their boyfriend's shoulder there, and the shooter had the look of death in his eyes, and then moments later, he opened fire in the middle of the food court. So really, it gives you chills to hear these accounts and what they've been through, and you can only imagine just the road to recovery as they really come to grips with what happened here today.
Look live tonight. Thank you, Caitlin. You know, one of the witnesses we talked to today said it puts things in perspective, that you're stressed about the holidays and all the things you need to get done. And for her, she was there with her mother and her daughter, 3 generations of her family at that mall surviving this, and said it really puts things in perspective, that as long as you have your family and your loved ones around you, then things are good.
Wow, that really sums it up.
Unbelievable. Well, Fox 12 brought you the first live report from the scene this afternoon.
And that was from KPTV's Brian McMillan. He now joins us live from Clackamas County Sheriff's Office. Brian?
Yeah, and as you heard in Caitlin's story, this was scary for everyone inside the mall, and that includes Santa Claus. He was there with kids on his lap, families taking pictures when the shots ring out across the mall.
Santa's going to be back. This is not scaring Santa away from the mall.
Santa had 5 families waiting in line when gunshots rang out across the Clackamas Town Center Mall.
At the time, I didn't think too much about it, but then when I heard about 18 more shots, I decided that I was a semi-automatic and they hit the floor.
Santa hid for a few moments while his employees scattered. Customers were running in all different directions.
When I got up, there was nobody there but me.
Like many in the mall, he took refuge as shots continued. Santa hid behind a billboard for a few minutes, trying to figure out if he should run or stay put. He decided to make a run for it and made his way to a nearby exit.
I got close to the door and the SWAT team was coming in, and they said, everybody get out of the building.
With the community now shattered from this unspeakable tragedy, jolly old St. Nick still has hope for the holidays around here. They're just 2 weeks until Christmas, and Santa has one promise.
Something like this can't scare us away because we got to fight it. And I want you to know that everybody have a Merry Christmas, and I'll be back at the mall tomorrow.
And as you've heard, the mall will be closed tomorrow, but Santa did promise us that when the mall opens, he'll be there. Reporting live in Clackamas, Brian McMillan, the 10 o'clock news.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Deputies say a young woman was wounded in the shooting and is in serious but stable condition at OHSU tonight.
KPTV Sophie Stone talked to the chief medical officer at the hospital. She joins us now live with the very latest on her condition. Sophie.
Yeah, a spokeswoman for the hospital says she is not releasing that young woman's name tonight as her family has requested her privacy. Doctors, though, say she is expected to survive. And an ambulance took the woman here at around 5 o'clock tonight. Doctors say when they were first notified of the shooting, they went into emergency mode. That's when they freed up as many operating rooms as possible, checked on their blood supply, and prepared the entire hospital for the potential of mass casualties casualties. Fortunately, doctors say they ended up with only one patient from the shooting and so far have not been notified of any more to show up tonight. They say that young woman sustained gunshot wounds but would not go into detail as to how many times she was shot or where. But they say the good news is she was stable enough that she did not need to be life flighted here, but instead arrived by ambulance. In fact, doctors say she has been responsive and has been talking with her family, who is here at the hospital tonight. Overnight, medical personnel will be keeping a close eye on her.
Our teams will assess, the extent of her injuries, any internal damage she might have sustained, and whether she will require surgery or not. In an instance like this, she would, you might expect somebody to go straight into the operating room. She was stable enough to be transported by the ambulance as opposed to life flight, so that's a good sign. And so it'll all depend on what our trauma team learns about her specific injuries.
Now, once again, we're told that that young woman, about 18 years old, is in stable but serious condition, and she is expected to survive. Reporting live from Southwest Portland, Sophie Sung, the 10 o'clock news.
Well, back to the mall now, where SWAT teams spent hours combing through that 1.4 million square foot mall, making sure that everyone got out safely.
And as we've been telling you all night, shoppers and store workers ran. Some left everything behind to speed up their escape. KPTV's Laura Rios joins us now live with more on what employees are facing in the coming days. Laura.
Yeah, Sean, and we can also tell you there are still multiple law enforcement agencies on the scene here at Clackamas Town Center. We're on the north side of the mall, and you can see them all parked in front of the movie theater. And this entrance here, they have a lot to go through. One, to make sure everyone is out, no one is hiding anymore, and also to start processing this very large crime scene. We've heard a lot of amazing, incredible stories, scary stories tonight, many of them from employees who jumped into action to save themselves, save their coworkers, and save their customers.
Right when he stepped out of Macy's into the mall area in between the two jewelry stores, he went ahead and opened fire.
As soon as she heard the gunshots, one Macy's employee's instincts kicked in.
I grabbed my coworker and we kind of just took a run for it without looking back. And we ran all the way out the exit towards REI and Chipotle.
As the gunman made his way through Clackamas Town Center, others took refuge in their stores. These cell phone pictures were shared by the boyfriend of an employee at the Hannah Society pet store, where they barricaded themselves in a back room. Scared employees and customers huddled together with dogs until police told them it was safe to leave. A similar scene played out in stores around the shopping center.
I know as soon as I heard it, I thought it was like maybe a drill or something. I didn't think it was real at first. And then as soon as I heard more shots happen, I knew at that point we needed to lock up and get everybody in the back of the store.
And that was the immediate reaction from the employees working at many of these stores here. Now, whether they hid and were evacuated by police or whether they just ran out of the mall at the first sound of gunshots, a lot of people left a lot of their items inside the mall, things like purses, strollers, prescription medication. If you're one of those people, the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office says your belongings are secure. They say they're working with the mall right now to find a way to get them back to you. They say that might not happen tomorrow. Of course, as soon as they figure that out and give us that information, we will be sharing it with you online at kptv.com. Reporting live, I'm Laura Rios, the 10 o'clock news.
All right, Laura, thank you. We talked to an employee today by phone. I remember her name, Ebony, and she was saying we're trained for this type of thing. We're trained. We don't know what we'll do when the situation actually happens. And as she explained it, she'd stayed calm. She did what she was supposed to do, and it sounds like a lot of workers at those stores did just that.
Boy, it's more than just training for shoplifting these days, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right. This entire story unfolded live on the air, and from all the witnesses we talked with, it has clearly been an emotional, draining day for those who were there, along, of course, with their worried families.
And here's where we stand right now. 2 people died. Another is hospitalized at OHSU. The gunman is also dead from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The mall will remain closed tomorrow as the investigation continues. And stay with us. Our coverage of this breaking story is just getting started. And as we head to break, here are more first-hand accounts from people who were inside the chaotic scene.
It was just like 6 shots rang off, and then everyone kind of stopped thinking something fell.
Opened up firing about 8 rounds hands over the top of my head.
My friend was holding my baby. I just run just to go get my baby. I didn't care about anything.
What we saw when we were running, going to the back, that we saw a lot of people running.
I yelled at them, run, get out of here, just started running, making sure everyone telling them, get out of the mall, get out of the mall.
Unfortunately, I did witness one of the bodies. I'm not sure who it was. I pray for their family. I really do.
And I'm so glad and blessed that I'm safe and she's safe. That's all that matters.
You're watching the 10 o'clock news.